And excessive talking is often emotional externalization. The human brain constantly searches for social safety, approval, acceptance, reassurance, connection, and conversation becomes one of the fastest ways to create temporary emotional comfort. When people receive attention while speaking, their brain rewards them emotionally. They feel safer, more accepted, more visible, more understood. But this can slowly create emotional dependence on attention itself. Some people eventually become uncomfortable when they are not being socially noticed. That is why silence feels emotionally threatening to them. Silence removes feedback. Silence removes feedback. Silence removes reassurance. Silence removes stimulation. And without stimulation, hidden emotion becomes louder internally. Modern society has made this behavior even more extreme. Social media trains people to constantly express themselves. Constant opinions, constant reactions, constant updates, constant emotional performance. Everyone is encouraged to speak, react, share, reveal, explain. And slowly, many people lose the ability to simply exist quietly without stimulation. That is why silence now feels unnatural for many individuals. But psychologically, silence is extremely important for emotional regulation. Quiet moments allow the brain to process emotion. Reflection creates self-awareness. Observation creates emotional intelligence. So they speak, constantly. Sometimes without direction, sometimes without purpose, sometimes without even realizing how much emotional information they are revealing. Have you ever noticed how people often reveal their insecurities when they speak too much? The more emotionally reactive someone becomes, the more predictable they become socially. Nervous people over-explain themselves. Insecure people seek reassurance through conversation. Emotionally dependent people constantly search for validation through attention. And talking becomes a tool for emotional survival. But calm people behave differently. Emotionally stable individuals do not feel the same pressure to constantly fill silence. They can sit inside quiet moments without panic. They do not immediately interpret silence as rejection, and because of that, they often appear more emotionally grounded. This is why social dynamics become so interesting. The loudest person in the room is not always the most confident. Sometimes, they are simply the most emotionally uncomfortable. Human behavior becomes very revealing when people experience uncertainty. Think about parties, meetings, restaurants, or social gatherings. Some people become quieter as they observe the environment. Others suddenly become louder and more animated. Why? Because human beings respond differently to emotional pressure. Some people internalize tension, others externalize it. But people who constantly escape silence rarely develop deep emotional awareness, because they never stay still long enough to observe themselves honestly. This is also why emotionally intelligent people often speak more carefully. They understand that words reveal psychological patterns. The way people speak exposes emotion constantly. Tone exposes insecurity. Speed exposes anxiety. Oversharing exposes emotional dependency. Defensiveness exposes fear. Human beings communicate emotionally, even when they believe they are only communicating verbally. That is why emotionally observant people pay attention, not only to what people say, but how they say it. Fast talking often reveals internal tension. Interrupting others often reveals emotional impatience. Constant storytelling sometimes reveals hidden insecurity. Excessive joking can hide discomfort. Endless talking can hide loneliness. Human behavior is rarely random. Most behavior is emotional adaptation happening unconsciously. Some people learned early in life that being loud attracted attention. Others learned that speaking constantly reduced emotional tension inside difficult environments. Some individuals grew up feeling ignored, so now they unconsciously seek visibility through conversation. Others fear judgment so deeply that they over-explain everything to avoid misunderstanding. And many people never realize how much childhood emotional conditioning still controls adult behavior. That is why emotionally mature people become fascinating socially. They do not desperately force attention. They do not panic during pauses. They do not feel psychologically erased by silence. They understand that presence is not created by constant noise. Presence is emotional stability. In fact, Some of the most respected individuals in social environments are not the loudest people. They are often the calm observers, the individuals who speak intentionally, the people who remain emotionally composed while everyone else reacts impulsively. Because emotional control naturally creates psychological weight, human beings trust emotional stability more than emotional chaos. Even attraction works this way. People are naturally drawn toward individuals who feel emotionally centered. Calmness creates safety. Emotional control creates curiosity. But constant talking sometimes creates emotional exhaustion, especially when people speak without awareness. That is why emotionally intelligent communication is not about speaking more. It is about understanding timing, energy, emotional awareness, and social balance. Sometimes silence communicates more powerfully than conversation ever could. Think about how uncomfortable many people become when nobody immediately responds to them. That reaction alone reveals emotional dependence on validation. Emotionally secure people do not collapse emotionally when attention disappears briefly. But insecure individuals often experience silence as social rejection, and rejection activates anxiety inside the brain very quickly. This is why some people continue speaking even after conversations naturally end. They subconsciously fear losing emotional connection. The conversation becomes emotional reassurance, but emotionally mature individuals understand something important. Not every silence is negative. Not every pause means rejection. Not every quiet moment needs to be fixed. And this changes their social behavior completely. Because once someone becomes comfortable with silence, they stop behaving from emotional panic. They stop over-explaining themselves. They stop chasing constant reassurance. They stop performing emotionally for approval. And their presence becomes calmer, stronger, and more emotionally balanced. In many ways, modern life has made people afraid of stillness. Phones remove silence. Notifications remove silence. Entertainment removes silence. Constant stimulation removes reflection. And without reflection, people slowly lose connection with their own emotional state. That is why emotionally aware people intentionally create quiet moments in their lives. Because silence reveals truth. Silence reveals emotional patterns. Silence reveals dependency. Silence reveals insecurity. But silence also creates clarity. The ability to sit quietly with your own thoughts without panic is becoming increasingly rare in modern society. And because it is rare, emotional calmness now feels psychologically powerful. In the end, people who talk too much are not always arrogant. They are not always attention seekers. Sometimes they are anxious. Sometimes lonely. Sometimes emotionally overstimulated. Sometimes deeply uncomfortable with silence itself. Human behavior is rarely as simple as it appears externally. Behind excessive talking is often an emotional need that the person themselves does not fully understand. And once you begin observing human behavior more carefully, you realize something important. The way people communicate often reveals the emotional state they are trying hardest to hide. Most people think people who talk too much are simply extroverted. But human behavior is usually much deeper than that. Because excessive talking is not always confidence. Sometimes, it is emotional escape. Some people speak because they enjoy connection, but others speak because silence makes them uncomfortable. And discomfort changes human behavior more than most people realize. Think about how difficult silence feels for certain people. The moment a conversation slows down, they immediately try to fill the space. They switch topics. They laugh nervously. They explain unnecessary details. They keep talking even when nobody asked another question. And most of the time, they do not even notice they are doing it. Because for many people, talking is not just communication. It is emotional regulation. Human beings are constantly trying to manage internal emotion through external behavior. Some people scroll endlessly through social media. Some people overeat. Some people seek constant attention. And some people talk excessively because silence forces them to confront their own thoughts. Silence creates self-awareness, and self-awareness can become uncomfortable very quickly, especially for emotionally anxious people. That is why some individuals become extremely talkative inside social situations. Their brain interprets silence as tension. And psychologically, human beings naturally try to reduce tension as fast as possible.